In this video, I'll be showing you how to work the back underarms in a bottom-up garment using my Azalea top here as our example. When I worked the dividing row, I first worked the front and my back stitches here rested on scrap yarn, as you can see right here. So the first step is to transfer them from the scrap yarn to my circular needle. So to transfer, doesn't matter which end that you start on. I'm just going to start on this end here. And you're just going to take your needle and you're going to insert it into each stitch like this. You don't have to do it one by one. You can kind of do it in a clump like I'm doing here. So I'm going to do, let's say about this much, and then I'll just take the yarn and pull it out just like this. Again, you're just going to go into each stitch just like this. So I'll just continue in this manner until all the stitches have been transferred. Once all of my stitches are on the needles, like I've just done here, and I've counted them to make sure I have the correct number, that's always a good thing to do. So now it's time to work the first row. First, let's talk about the yarn I'm using. Since I'm using a kettle dyed yarn where skein to skein there can be some color differences, I made sure to save a little bit of the same yarn I'd use when working the end of the body and the dividing row. This way I avoid any potential skein discrepancies and the color on the back isn't interrupted. So that's just a little tip. Now when I work the front, I used the cable cast on method to cast on my underarm stitches at each end. So I'm just gonna pull this up. So here's my front, which I've finished now. And here were those underarm stitches that I had cast on. For the back, instead of casting on, we're actually going to pick up and knit into the base of these front underarm stitches first, and then we'll knit across the back stitches. And the reason for doing this is so that we don't have to seam up any underarm. So this is a seamless technique. So the pattern starts by saying, with the right side facing, pick up and knit 4 stitches into the base of the stitches cast on for the front armhole. So let's get ourselves situated. So we're going to start on the right side. So I want to slide my stitches so that they're close to the other end here. We got the right side facing. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these front underarm stitches and we're going to be wanting to just turn them here because we're going to want to pick up into the base of each of these. Now you can see the base because it's that little horizontal line. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to take the other end of my circular and we're first going to pick up and knit into each of these 4 stitches. So I'm going to start with this one here. And you can either just go into one of just the horizontal line or you can go into both the front and the back one. It's okay either way, whatever is easiest for you. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my needle right in there. And then I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to make sure to leave a nice long tail because I want to have enough to weave in at the end. And you'll see there might be some little holes when you connect. So it's nice to have a nice long tail so you can do that weaving in afterwards. So I'm just going to drape it over the needle just like this and then pull the loop through. Okay, so we've picked up and knit one of the underarm stitches. Then I'm going to go into the next one. And knit it. And then I'm going to go into the next one. And knit it. And then I'll go into the 4th one. And knit it. Okay, So we've picked up our 4 front underarm stitches. Then I'm just going to go ahead and start knitting the back stitches. So just like this. Now, as I just had mentioned, there might be a little bit of a hole, some looseness right here, but don't worry about it because we have our long tail that we use when we join the yarn, and we'll use that tail to weave in any looseness or any holes that appear there. So it's totally normal to see something like that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and knit all of the stitches on the back. So I'm just about done with my back stitches. Now, when you get to the end, you don't want to turn the work quite yet. Now we want to pick up and knit into this side's front underarm stitches. So similar as we did on the other side, this time we're going to start with the innermost cast on stitch. I'm going to go ahead and take my needle tip and I'm going to go into the innermost first cast on stitch. I'm going to insert my needle just like that, wrap the yarn, and bring the loop through. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, you'll notice a little bit of a gap here. You don't have to worry. We'll make sure to weave in those ends at the end and you won't see that anymore. So we are all done. So now you would turn your work just like this, and you would just proceed with the rest of the back instructions. So that is how you work the back underarms in a bottom-up garment using my Azalea top as our example.